The village of Pyrapur was known for its tranquility and greenery, but when night fell, a deep silence descended upon it. As the sun set, villagers would lock themselves in their homes, hammer iron nails into their doors, and hang ropes tied with mantras on their windows. It was said that in this village lived a bloodthirsty witch named Raktwali. Anyone who ventured outside the village at night would never return. The next morning, their body would be found hanging from an old peepal tree, completely drained of blood. The elders of the village told tales of a woman named Shampa, whose spirit had turned into the witch. She had been dishonored by society and brutally murdered on false accusations of witchcraft. Before her death, she cursed the village. "Every man in this village shall die, and they will die without blood." One night, Raghu, a young man from the village, went out to tend to his fields. His mother tried to warn him, but he laughed it off, saying, "This is all superstition. There is no such thing as witches." It was the second half of the night, and the stillness of the village was overwhelming. Raghu, holding a torch, was making his way toward the fields when suddenly a strange rustling sound filled the air. Then the faint sound of a woman weeping could be heard. Raghu looked around, but there was no one to be seen. Then he suddenly felt as though someone was standing behind him. When he turned around, his heart skipped a beat. A tall, terrifying woman stood before him. Her face was dark, her eyes glowed like coals, and blood dripped from her lips. "I want my justice," the witch whispered. Raghu couldn't even scream. In the blink of an eye, sharp fangs sank into his neck. By morning, the villagers found Raghu's lifeless body hanging from the peepal tree, drained of all blood. After Raghu's death, the entire village was gripped by fear. No one dared to step outside after dark. The village elders decided that something had to be done. They called for Pandit Harinath, a man versed in black magic and spiritual knowledge. Pandit Harinath explained that in order to stop the witch, they needed to perform a Havan ritual fire sacrifice in the middle of the village and place a talisman on the peepal tree using powerful mantras. However, to summon the witch, they had to call her directly, which was extremely dangerous. On the night of the Havan, Pandit Harinath and a few brave villagers gathered near the peepal tree. The chanting of mantras began, and an eerie sense of unease filled the air. Suddenly, the flames of the fire grew intense, and darkness seemed to consume the surroundings. "You cannot stop me! No one can stop me!" A blood-curdling scream echoed, and before anyone could react, Raktwali, the witch, appeared. Her red eyes burned with rage. Pandit Harinath intensified his chanting, but the witch had become more terrifying than ever. She lunged at a young man and crushed his neck with her bare hands. The entire village erupted in screams of terror. Many villagers fled in fear, but Pandit Harinath remained steadfast. He threw sacred ash into the air while chanting even louder. The witch writhed in pain and began to burn. But before she perished, she let out a final chilling cry, "I will return, and no one will be left alive." With that, her soul turned to ash. Peace returned to the village. The villagers breathed a sigh of relief. But a few days later, on another dark night, an eerie woman's laugh echoed in the wind. And then, once again, a body was found hanging from the peepal tree, drained of all its blood. Perhaps the bloodthirsty witch was not truly gone,